Hello and welcome back to Pick Up the Pieces. I am Stacy and we are in the Pickup Kitchen. We've got a little bit of a sweet tooth around here, and also we wanted to test some recipes to see if they might make great holiday kind of recipes. So we are making two new recipes. This first one is a hot fudge brownie bread recipe that just sounded way too good to pass up. We're doing that. We're also going to do my friend Sam's cookie bars. So Sam is one of my friends from the gym, and I was recently at her house for a kind of a girls' night thing, and she made these cookie bars and they were absolutely to die for. So I asked her for the recipe and I'm going to share them with you guys. So these cookie bars will probably go in kids' lunches for the week, and then this fudge bread recipe, well, that's probably going to get devoured tonight. So I'm going to show you how to make this hot fudge bread. We're going to try it together, and it's just called hot fudge brownie bread. So let's get it started, and I will link these recipes in the description box for you. So we are going to first mix dry ingredients. We've got a cup of flour. We have a 1/4 cup of cocoa powder. We've got a teaspoon of baking powder. And then we have a 1/2 of a teaspoon of salt. And when I bake, I use kosher salt, and when I cook, I usually use pink salt. So this is kosher salt. And so that all gets mixed together. And then our wet ingredients are going to go in our other bowl, and then we'll combine them. Now our oven is preheating to 350, and I am going to spray my baking pan. Just a little bit of nonstick spray on this pan is perfect. You don't need to grease it. But if you have sort of a thinner metal pan, you may want to actually grease it to make sure this comes out. So our wet ingredients now are going to go into our other bowl, and this is a 1/2 cup of butter melted. It's 1 stick. I'm going to make sure to get all of that out. And so 1 stick of melted butter, and we are going to add a cup of sugar. We've got 2 eggs. And I always toss my eggshells into the sink because it's nearby, and that's what I do. And we're going to add a little bit of vanilla. Now, we know I do not measure vanilla with a measuring spoon. I measure it with my heart. So this is supposed to be a teaspoon, and well, maybe it was and maybe it wasn't. And so these ingredients are getting mixed together. Now we are going to add a 1/4 cup of milk and 1/2 cup of hot fudge sauce to this, but the directions say that you don't add that hot fudge sauce and the milk until you've got these two things mixed together. We also have the choice whether we want to mix in optional chocolate chips, and of course we're doing that. So, I mean, it's hot fudge bread, so I feel like there has to be chocolate of multiple varieties in hot fudge bread. Why not? So this is nicely mixed, and so then my recipe says mix your dry ingredients, mix your wet ingredients, put your dry into your wet, then fold in the milk and the hot fudge, and then the chocolate chips. Okay, so we're going to put the dry ingredients in, and I'm just going to fold these in. Now the directions do say that you don't want to overmix this. You want it just, to be really moist when it comes out of the oven. So we don't want to mix this too much. We just want to combine the ingredients. So I am scraping and folding. And it's starting to come together. You can see now it took a little bit of time for the dry ingredients to want to cooperate with the wet ingredients, but now we are starting to see that they're combining. And like the recipe says, you really don't want to overmix this. So I'm going to add my milk and my hot fudge sauce. Now, we microwaved this hot fudge sauce. 2 spoons here. we microwaved this hot fudge sauce so that it would be easier to mix in, because ours, we had a jar of hot fudge sauce in the fridge that was open, and so because it was in the fridge, it was cold, and I was afraid that trying to mix in cold hot fudge would be a problem. So we just kind of like melted it in the microwave for about 30 seconds or so, just to soften it. If yours is room temperature, I think you should be fine just to go with it, room temperature. But I didn't want to try to put very cold hot fudge in here and then try to fight it to mix it, because I felt like it would definitely end up over mixed if I did that. Okay, so we've got that. And now we're just going to fold this in. And I am notorious for getting this all over myself. Oh. I am just going to carefully mix this until it's combined. It smells really good. And we've got to get some chocolate chips in here. Had a bit of hot fudge on my hands. Just going to get that off. And then it says to mix in 1/2 cup of chocolate chips. So we're using dark chocolate chips, and that was a 1 cup measuring cup, so I did about half. And this is good. Now, I was worried when I added the milk that it was maybe going to be too thin of a batter, but as it sat for a moment, I feel like the flour is doing its job and it's absorbing the liquid. So that looks pretty good. And like I said, I don't want to overmix this. So we're going to get this in the pan. And this will go in the oven at 350 for about 45 to 50 minutes. And I will show you what it looks like when it is done. And when it is done, we can top it with additional chocolate chips and additional hot fudge sauce. And I have a feeling this is going to be a winner. But we are going to get this in the oven. I am also going to bake this on a tray, just in case this wants to bubble over quite a bit. I don't want that to happen. So I'm going to put this on a tray, put it in my oven, and I'll show you what it looks like when it comes out. So our second recipe is for Funfetti cake batter cookie bars. I call these Sam's cookie bars because Sam gave me the recipe. So we need 2 sticks of butter melted, and I'm just going to make sure to get all that butter in there. So 2 sticks of melted butter in the mixer. We need a pouch of white cake mix. I just got cake mix from Aldi, and so that is going to go into the mixer. And I'm using the paddle attachment. And then we need a pouch of sugar cookie mix. So this is like a Betty Crocker sugar cookie mix. This goes in. And we need 3 large eggs, which I threw in my pan here. Okay, so 3 eggs. And then we need a teaspoon of vanilla. And of course, you know, I will measure this with my heart. A teaspoon, close enough. So this is going to mix, and the instructions say to mix until well combined, 1 to 2 minutes on medium-high speed. So I think it's been about a minute, and everything seems to have come together pretty well here. Now we are going to mix in some sprinkles. So I'm going to get my mixer out of the way. We're also going to prepare our 9x13 baking dish just with a little bit of cooking spray. You could certainly grease your pan. The recipe also says you could line with parchment if you want to make it easier to get these out. I am just going to use some cooking spray, and then I'm going to make sure this is all mixed together. These cookie bars are so good. They taste like a Funfetti birthday cake cookie bar, I guess is the best way to describe it. And so I guess it's like that combination of the cookie dough with the cake mix that does that, which I didn't know until I saw the recipe, but they are absolutely delicious. I'm sure the 2 sticks of butter probably help as well. But I'm just going to make sure that this is well combined. I just don't want there to be any puddles of anything at the bottom. Looks good. Everything looks to be mixed well. And then you're supposed to mix in 3 tablespoons of rainbow sprinkles. So we are going to use measuring spoons. So 1, 2, 3 tablespoons. And then the instructions say to be careful to not overmix. If you stir too aggressively or you stir too much, the color of the sprinkles will come out. And so we're just going to give this a quick mix so that we don't have that happen. And then the instructions also say when you put this in the pan to sort of drop it in spoonfuls rather than in one whole blob, because it'll be easier to mix if you sort of drop it in little bits. And so that is what I will do, is sort of small piles of this so that it is easy to spread. And throw that on the counter. And so I am just going to scrape this out best I can, and then I think I'm going to use an offset spatula to spread this. So this is an offset spatula. Sometimes when you have something like a job like this where you have dough you want to spread, it is easier to do when you have the right tool. So I'm going to use this to spread this dough rather than a regular spatula, because I think it will do the job more efficiently, but also it will prevent these sprinkles from getting too agitated in the process. But this recipe, like I said, I had at a friend's house, and then at the end of the party, she was sort of packaging up little care packages for everybody, and she sent us home with, whatever we wanted to take. And I took a couple of these home, and I'm telling you, between me and the kids, they disappeared pretty quickly, but they were just so tasty. And I love like those store-bought cutout cookies that you can buy. You can get them at Walmart. I know most major grocery stores have them. Like, they're the round cookies that are kind of soft, and they have that like frosting on the top with the sprinkles, and they're just kind of nostalgic for me. Like, I don't know why. I mean, they're probably not the fanciest or the nicest thing that you could get or the best cookie in the world, but I just love those cookies. And this to me sort of reminded me of that. And it's because it's like a bar cookie, it's a lot less work, right? Like, you're not having to scoop cookies and bake them and then frost them. Like, this is so much easier because you just put it all in one pan. And then, it bakes, and then you let it cool, and then you frost it, and then you cut it. And so it's sort of the nostalgia of that kind of cookie, but with less work. So I'm just kind of flattening the top here. My offset spatula left some fun marks. And now this is going to go in the oven for 28 to 32 minutes at 350 degrees. And I will show you what it looks like when it's done. And then after it's cool, I'll show you what it looks like when it's frosted. Both of our baked treats are out of the oven. These are our cookie bars, and the edges are nice and brown. That's what the recipe said to look for. And when it first came out of the oven, it was puffed up a little bit. I did stick a toothpick in, and absolutely no crumbs came out when I pulled it out. And then I've got my toothpick here. Now, this fudge bread said that when you stick the toothpick in, you want a little bit of like fudginess on the toothpick, because You want the inside of the bread to be really fudgy, like a fudge brownie. So I'm taking this as done. Now, these cooked for 28 minutes at 350. This bread ended up taking a full hour. The recipe said 45 to 50 minutes on this fudge bread, but it did take 60. So when we are ready to serve our dessert, I will show you what they both look like. As soon as this one is cooled, it is going to get some frosting and sprinkles. And when we serve this one, we're going to drizzle some extra hot fudge on the top and maybe add a couple extra chocolate chips. So I will see you soon and we'll show you the finished desserts. So we are ready for dessert, and I am going to frost these cookie bars. Now this is a can of just a whipped buttercream, store-bought. The recipe for these cookie bars does give you instructions on how to make a homemade frosting, and that is fine. You can absolutely do that, but my friend Sam, who gave me this recipe, said that this is what she does, and when I had these at her house, they were amazing, so I am doing the exact same thing that she did because I loved them so much. So this is just, like I said, store-bought whipped buttercream, and I'm going to spread this out, and then I will top it with a little bit of additional sprinkles. And then I'm also going to slice and serve some of this hot fudge cake in a moment, and I will give you my honest opinion of these. And then as a family, we will enjoy some treats tonight, and then I'm sure we will enjoy more of these throughout the week and the rest of the weekend. But like I said, this recipe is a winner, and these cookie bars are just perfect because they're sweet and they kind of have that funfetti flavor. And the frosting, like I said, store-bought just makes it so much easier. But you can certainly go the the extra mile there and make your own frosting if you wish. So that, I think, is good. And then I'm just going to top with some additional rainbow sprinkles. Okay, and then I'm also going to cut some of that fudge cake. I'm going to use a serrated knife. I think that's going to make it easier to cut this. And so I will show you what this looks like. And the recipe said this is basically like a hot fudge cake. And I feel like this definitely is not disappointing. This looks so fudgy and so good. So what I will do is put a piece here on a plate, and then I am going to just spread on some hot fudge. So this is a room temperature, a fresh jar of hot fudge. And so I'm going to just sort of put a little of this on the top of my slice of bread. And the bread is still warm, so I have a feeling this is going to be great. And then I'm just going to garnish with a couple extra chocolate chips, and I'm going to let you know what we think of these recipes. Now I'm going to give these a slice with a serrated knife as well. And you can cut these as big or as small as you want. And these, like I said, will make a good lunchbox treat this week. And definitely a good dessert for us to have tonight as well. Okay, so I'm going to go with the cookie bar first. These are so good. They're still a little bit warm, which is great. And that mixture of that cookie mix and the white cake mix with that frosting is amazing. And now I'm going to try this chocolate cake. So our chocolate fudge cake, I'm going to try to get some without the fudge topping. Oh, this is a winner. This is really good. I like that it's not super sweet. This is definitely more like a dark chocolate flavor as opposed to like a milk chocolate flavor. And so you get a little bit of the bitterness of the dark chocolate chips that I put in. Not too sweet, but really dense. Absolutely delicious. This is really good. I think this would be really good in a bowl with some vanilla ice cream as well. But I wanted to thank you guys for watching. We really do appreciate that you take the time to watch our videos. Thank you so much again. And if you haven't already, please remember to like and subscribe, and we'll see you next time. Have a good night.